God bless everybody. Today it is November 6th of 2022, and this is an update on my paradigm that I've been talking about, and I just had found that additional information in Daniel 10, 4, and 13 that I think matters to the paradigm, and so I wanted to go over that information and show you the chart or the timeline of the paradigm and how it didn't change anything really. I just added some additional information to it. So I'll sort of go over how what those changes are. So if you go to my website at endofdayssurvival.com, it's just a free Wix site, informational site, just to give you the information of the things I've found through my analysis, just so you can see. If you go down the page a little bit here, you're going to be able to see these 4 PDFs, and these are all my major charts and everything. I try to keep these updated so you can see them, different things. Oh, I should change that because I just updated it. But anyway, so if you click on this, you're going to get to this chart. Okay, so this is my paradigm of the 3 modern-day kings that works with the timing of Daniel, especially 7 through 12 as we move into the future, Psalm 90:10, and major prophets like Jeremiah and Ezekiel. So on this paradigm of the 3 modern-day kings, which also works with Enoch's 70th shepherding prophecy and how we have 12 kings at the end in the latter days. What that means is from May 14th of 1948 to present, we've had now 11 kings of Israel or leaders in place, being Isaac Herzog as the 11th leader, and that Enoch said that there would be a 12th one, and then after the 12th one's season was over or his reign complete, we would see the Lord come back. So I think, Enoch was probably the earliest prophet, 1,000 some years prior to even the Bible being written, and so to have that kind of insight from the beginning of time basically to present day is amazing. And if you haven't read Enoch, you need to do that, because it's not in the Bible. They left those chapters in that book out, so that gives you a totally different perspective and more insight on what is to come and some different things. And optics are always important. Normally I don't go out of the Bible, but in this case, Enoch is an extremely important component to understanding. So you need to at least understand the prophecy of Enoch. And it's called the 70 Shepherd Prophecy. And most people use the prime ministers. I use the presidents because they're the actual leader of Israel. And 2 of these leaders of Israel, the 10th and the 11th leader since May 14th of 1948, which would be Reuben Rivlin, which was the past leader of Israel, and the new leader, Isaac Herzog, which was elected in 2021. He's the 11th one, and they said that there would be one more, and I've shown you in this paradigm how that occurs. But I just wanted to make a quick video on the changes. If you do follow my paradigm, I want you to see what I've changed. So I've made a small modification. Now this hasn't changed the paradigm, okay? Just understand that. I'm just adding more information to it. And what's amazing is every time I find a piece of information, it doesn't adjust the chart. It just adds more events as we move down here. And so that's why I keep coming back to this paradigm, trying to decide whether it's actually something that matters or not. And like I say, Daniel 8 is, to me, my confirmation to understanding whether this is actually really plausible. And so I'm not out here dictating to you that this is right. That's not what I'm telling you. I want you to go out and look at these things. I want you to research it. I I want you to see where we are in time. Look out, step back and look at what's going on out here and make some common sense of what is happening. Okay? And if you have the seal of God, you will understand, because he tells you you will probably understand. So I made a couple minor changes here. I've added a couple events right in this area here, which I think is extremely important, because that's where we are in time at this very moment. The other small minor change was just I added a verse. I had a set of verses, but I needed to add 2 additional verses to it to make it make sense. And I'll show you what that was. So if we zoom in here real quick, I don't want to make this a long video. I just want you to understand what's going on here. So if you zoom in here and you look at this portion of the chart, we just went through this area here, which was the fall feast. Okay, you got the fall equinox, you got Rosh Hashanah, you got the end of the Shemitah cycle. You just had a lot of volatility in the markets. Shemitah cycle, usually within a year or so after that Shemitah cycle happens, within 6 months to a year, you see economic meltdown. And I believe you're going to start to see that happen. And we've had many conversations about that. So this end of the Shemitah happens. You get into the end of the Feast of Trumpets, which runs 2 days. Okay. Then I just made a video about this yesterday, I believe, that I had seen something in Daniel that mattered, and that's Daniel 10, verse 4 and 13. And what it says is that in the 24th day of the first month, this would happen. I talked about this paradigm and how all these dates that I'm giving you have verses attached based on 3 modern day leaders and how they reflect a leader of the past, and how the time that they've been in place is the exact amount of time that they were in place in the past of those kings. So if Jehoiakim's been in a certain leadership position for so many years, it worked with the other 2 kings and how long they had also been in office. And so that's why Isaac Herzog is important, Reuben Rivlin is important, and Erdogan is important, because they reflect those 3 kings. Zedekiah, Jehoiakim, and Nebuchadnezzar. And I've shown you how these date stamps work, and I know the video is extremely long. It's about 2 hours and 45 minutes, but I go into extreme detail. All I'm doing here is I'm showing you an additional portion of something that I found. And so let's slide this over just a little. So in this verse, it says in Daniel 10:4 and also Daniel 10:13 that Iran is attacked by the Babylonian. So the Assyrian is attacked by Babylon, and Michael comes out and helps defeat the Assyrian. Okay, and that the battle takes place for about 21 days based on this verse here. Okay, so let's go out and look at that real quick. So if you go into Daniel chapter 10, verse 4, it says something extremely important, I believe. In the 24 day of the first month, as I was by the side of the great river, Hedekiel, I'm probably butchering that name, but that's the Tigris River. I just talked about how it runs through Turkey, Syria, and down towards Iraq, almost to, down around Baghdad, and how Daniel 8's prophecy takes him to Shush, Iran, down in that area of Elam, and that's where this dumps out at the end, that he would see this vision. Okay, so this date stamp is the date stamp on the paradigm. So that's why this is January 24th of 2023, because I've been talking, I couldn't find a date or at least I hadn't been able to find a date, and that's why I haven't brought this up to you until this moment, that there would be this Daniel 8 war leading up to a locust event that's going to hit Israel by spring. I've been talking about it. I just didn't know that there was an actual possible date stamp out here. I mean, God is amazing that He gives us all this information. It's just a matter of unlocking it, I believe. And maybe I'm wrong. Well, we'll find out soon, because January 24th of 2023 is not very far away. And so, will Iran be attacked for 21 days, as Daniel 10:4 and 13 tells us, on January 24th of 2023, and that if you project this forward 21 days, this would fall on February 14th of 2023, which is actually Valentine's Day, and that the Iran and the Kurds would fall as the nations of Turkey attacked them, and this would then complete Daniel 8, and then we would see that white horseman, because now Erdogan's destroyed Iran as a nation, and the Kurds have fallen also at this moment, okay? This would then give him the ability to coalesce those 10 radical Muslim nations, drive through Saudi Arabia. He'll have to touch Jordan and Israel, because the Red Sea is there, and he'll end up in Egypt. Ezekiel then starts to form. And that's what I said. If you go in here, and I'll blow this up a little bit, we would then see Ezekiel start to form. But we're going to see that white horseman get his crown then, because he's going to restart that caliphate. Erdogan's been talking about rebuilding the caliphate by 23. He's got an election cycle coming up in June of 23. He's got a collapsing lira. He's got inflation at 85%. He's got all kinds of global issues over there. He's fighting the Kurds. He's genociding the Kurds, and he's driving those people down. You know, if Iran or something happens to Erbil, and I talked about Erbil, the capital city in Iraq of the Kurdistan people, and we have a green zone there, this would then force a lot of refugees into Iran that has 10 million Kurds on the western border. And so this is going to cause all kinds of problems. We talked about the death of that young woman, that Kurdish woman, that's now causing all these protests and riots over there, and how this is going to head up. And so they're going to have to deal with the Kurds as they're being genocided by Turkey. The Kurds are going to have to be pushed into a corner here, and they're going to have to align with Iran to get away from Turkey. And Turkey's going to have to stop Iran from nuking Israel before they get a bomb and destroy the Temple Mount, because that is what the caliphate's all about, or not the caliphate, but what the Iranians are all about is destroying Israel. And they figure if they speed that process up, they'll bring their imam back. So these are things that we need to be watching. So he'll get this crown, which it says in Revelation Seal 1, Revelation 6, that the white horseman would receive a crown and then go forth and conquer. And over the next 3 seals, we see him conquering a quarter of the world, which is the Middle East, that he'd receive this crown. Now, this thing is the tomb of Suleiman Shah. I had an image that told me this had to do with the Ottoman Empire, and that he would be christened here. Now, whether this is going to actually happen or not, I don't know, but the tomb of Suleiman Shah is extremely important, because this is a Turkish tomb in Syria that they keep moving, and it's a highlight for Erdogan. He's extremely partial to this place. And so I'm guessing the image was telling me 2 things, that he would be christened as a white horseman, he'd get his crown here, there would be some type of ceremony, and then he would coalesce the Muslims together, and we would see 10 nations form as these join. You talk about the toes of the statue of Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and the clay and the iron are intermingled, and this is the radical Muslims. They won't come together and anything, but they will come together to destroy Israel, and so that's what he's sort of talking about there. But Ezekiel then would start to occur, and we start to see 10 radical nations start to join this alliance and head through Saudi Arabia and Egypt to Israel. Okay? And that would fall right in line with what I was talking about and how we would see a locust event start to happen. Joel 1 would start to occur in the spring of 23, and that Gog, Erdogan, would then be besieging Jerusalem, as these verses indicate here, by October 10th of 2023. Now, like I say, I don't know if this is right. I'm waiting for Turkey to destroy Iran and whether the Kurds are going to align, and then that would be confirmation to me that we are basically here, okay, or in this area right here. Okay, but think about that date. That is less than 3 months away, okay? So the world could change. Fuel would go extremely elevated, $150, $200 a barrel if you see Iran fall, especially after we just did sanctions on Russia, which eliminated 1 to 3 million barrels. You just had a terrible election cycle, probably through a blood moon event on November 8th, and you've got Biden shutting off the strategic petroleum reserve, which would then also eliminate fuel, and you're going to have other issues. If you have cold winter, oil is going to be consumed more as they build all these different fuels and diesel and different things from oil. It's going to become shorter and it's going to become more expensive. And we talk about hyperflation in the third seal, and we're starting to see that happen as we move into this next year. And so just realize that so I didn't really change anything. I added a few things in this gap between the fall feast and this event of October of 23. And so when I found this, and I wanted to show you something else in Daniel 10 here. So if we move down to Daniel 10, we're in chapter 10, 13. It says that the prince of Persia would withstand him for 21 days. Okay, this is the prince of Greece. Okay, we're going to show you that here as we move forward. That after 21 days, Michael would stand up and he would help and help them destroy the king of Persia. Okay, and so this is a latter day thing. He wants Daniel to understand what's going on. Daniel falls to his face. He can't take it. It's too much. There's too much destruction. He's distraught. He's freaking out. You know, I mean, he fasts for 3 weeks. He can't wrap his mind around what he just saw. Okay, and so the Lord brings a servant to him and says, look, I'm going to stand you up. I'm going to strengthen you. I'm going to do these things to you. And then I'm going to show you what's coming. What's coming is the prince of Greece shall come, and he will destroy this Assyrian. He will destroy Iran. But as Isaiah tells us, this is going to end up bad, because Greece or Turkey will then turn on Israel. And if you look at Isaiah chapter 28 to 30, I've talked about this. We've seen this alignment just happen. Egypt and Turkey have now aligned with Israel to try to figure out what to do about Iran before they get a bomb and do damage to those countries over there. And so you're going to start to see this plan out. But realize that if Daniel 8 is right, and you see this event occur for 21 days, then that's why it's a whirlwind event. Okay? Because it happens so quickly. Can you think about a war where Turkey in 21 days from the beginning of the prophecy based on what the Bible is telling us, in 21 days, Iran falls as a nation once Turkey goes over and starts to attack them. And that's going to happen because, like I said, you're going to see that collapse of the Kurds down into that area of Baghdad towards Shush, Iran, in the valley, in the province of Elam, around Shush, Iran, and between Baghdad, around the Ulai River. And that's what Daniel 8 clearly says is when this is going to happen, and that it would happen quickly when it does. And so he's giving us not only possibly a time stamp of what day and what month, of possibly the year that this is going to happen, but how long the war would actually last, and that he's using the Archangel Michael, the most, you've got to realize, when you pull Michael out, he's the baddest angel, he's the protector of God's realm. And so when you pull Michael out, this is saying a lot. He's using major force against Iran, and he's going to decimate them quickly in the near future. And if my paradigm's right, you're going to start to see these dates here pan out on my paradigm. Okay? And we're going to watch. Now, the other thing I want you to realize is this. Okay? If this is a first horseman event here, and you get an attack on Iran, and they fall, and they head towards Egypt, back to Israel, and is decimated on the sixth seal, as I've talked about here, that means 2 billion people are being affected in the quarter of the planet, okay? And on the sixth seal, after Erdogan starts to besiege the city of Jerusalem, Isaac Herzog is captured based on my paradigm. It's just based on the paradigm. It's just data that I found based on these different verses. That on this day, 15 days later, we would see a sixth seal event, which is a global nightmare event. Okay, so Erdogan is given these 10 nations 1 hour of power, 15 days on the biblical counter, based on 1 year or 1 day of God to 1,000 years of us, that they would attack the city, but then 15 days later, we would see Erdogan and his armies die on the sixth seal as they're attacking Israel, based on Revelation 6:16, through the wrath of the Lamb, and that we would start to see that massive burial as we move into the trumpets. You would see 1/3 of the planet decimated in those first 4 trumpets, which are probably the communist areas. All you got to do is look at the map and decide where God would decimate 1/3 of the planet, and why he doesn't want to affect the Christian Jews and the Muslims, because that's what this is all about. And the communists are just going to get judged for where they are in time in the book of life when that occurs. But this sixth seal will pop. You'll see these armies die, as God tells us in Ezekiel 38 and 39, and we'll see a 7-month burial with weapons being burnt for 7 years. Remember the second half of Revelation, after abomination is shortened. He does that for a reason, and people don't get that one. When you get to this second half of after abomination, he shortens the second half. He tells you clearly that you got to think about the 1,335 days, which is 75 days after the 1260, and that this would fall directly on the Feast of Trumpets, which is amazing. And if you look at my chart, you'll be amazed how many of, how many of these fall on Jewish dates. And I think that's extremely important. And like I say, I don't know if I'm right here. We're going to know soon, because these dates are coming up. And so, this may, in a few months, this may just totally fall apart, and there won't be anything here left to look at, because it just doesn't make any sense. But I've given you two very specific dates or time frames of things that are going to happen or should happen based on what I found in my research. And hopefully God's given me inspiration, insight to be able to give you the proper information, because I'm not trying to mislead you here. I don't know. These are my confirmations to where I'll understand, and hopefully if it's right, then you'll understand, and then you can take that message forward, because we're running out of time. If we're down to January 24th to 23 before we see the destruction of Iran, and you have a sixth seal event in October of 23, at the end of 23, as Israel's being attacked between the 10th and the 25th of October of 23, actually, then that's a sixth seal event, and the world will change at that point, and you won't have time to prepare after that point. So you've got less than a year. There's a lot to do in less than a year, people. You need to get right with God. You need to find Jesus. You need to start prepping. You need to get your water, your filtration systems, your food, your hygiene, your warmth, your medicines, think about what you have in your home and fill your holes, fill your gaps. Make sure you have everything, because you may not get them once this changes. And as we start to see these strikes and all the stuff hit in the next few months, this election cycle could be bad. There could be a time where it just breaks down into mass chaos and civil rioting. You don't want to go out there. You want to put the blood over your door, bunker down, and let the madness go on around you. But find the open door. Find Jesus. He is the way through this madness. He's your anchor, okay? Through all the madness, there's a plan here. That God is in control. He's always in control. That the Lord Jesus has the title deed in his hand right now if he's breaking the seal. So he's in control. He owns the planet again. But he has to eliminate the bad, the garbage, the problems, so that when we get to the millennial kingdom of the 1,000 years, those elements aren't with us anymore. Because God won't tolerate that in his kingdom. And so you need to get right with him. You need to understand that you need to talk with him. You need to get right with him. You need to pull all the skeletons out of the closet and talk to him. Discuss these things with your ministers, your families, and things, and eliminate this slate. Clean this slate off before you even get there. And I'm guessing the conversation will be a lot better when they open the book of life and you go, you know what, we've had these conversations, and you may not agree with everything I said, but I at least tried to address them with you. So be safe out there. Find the open door. Find Jesus. Fill that oil lamp. The parable of the 10 virgins is extremely important in understanding what you need to do at the end. He clearly spells it out in a number of parables. And you need to understand those parables so you can be taught properly on what you need to do at the very last end days. And you're less than 5 years from it. Okay? From the Lord coming back, potentially, based on my paradigm. The fall feast of 27, before the last generation of Israel completes in the May 14th of 2028. That's what Psalm 90:10 is all about. It's the strong generation and how they'll go through all this, and before that generation completes, all things occur. So God bless everybody. Get right with God. Get right with Jesus. Put oil in your lamp and get ready for the ride of your life. It's going to be an interesting one, and I want to see it. I want to get to the end of this road. I want to see this play out completely. You know, you don't have to die and not make it to the end. You can get to the end. It's 5 years. It's going to be terrible, but you can make it. God bless everybody.